So you disagree with the idea of evolution, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me.
I'm not anti-minuscule evolution, but I do not believe that one animal can change entirely over time. I do not believe that's possible.
Okay, well,
And I could be wrong,
let's
but I
stop
don't
using the
believe
word animal and let's be more specific. Say species.
Animal is kind of.
But
Animals
wait,
very
do we mean
it's
one
very specific
particular
type
thing?
of
Let's
life
do some
form.
groundwork. What we had just discussed. Amphibians have the golden benefit of being the most likely. Does everyone agree with that?
I don't agree with that.
As far as water to land conversion,
Yes.
amphibians can go route A, route B, if anything can.
Well, they can, okay. I will agree that amphibians can go from land to water at will.
But but that's current. I'm saying in long term, can an amphibian completely lose its land and become water only, or completely lose its water ability and be land only? Can it develop full lungs or full gills? Even though most amphibians have full lungs,
It might
because
be
they're
able
just
to
swimming animals.
over time.
Over millions of years, creatures, life forms adapt to their environment. So let's say you have an amphibian species that lives on like the ocean. So you have like an ocean amphibian.
Pick one.
Now I'll pick okay. Well, okay. Let's instead of because I can't think of any
sea turtle argument.
I can't think of a amphibian that lives in the ocean, but I can think of one that lives in the lake.
Okay.
We'll think of a salamander. Okay, so salamander. Okay, let's say it lives in a lake, and the lake dries up over time. What happens to all the salamanders? Do they all die?
No, they move to a different lake, or they
They either migrate,
yeah,
or they adapt to their environment. Those are the only. Otherwise, they die, right?
How far does a salamander have to adapt to land? It steps out of the water.
It steps out of the
It
water,
still remains a
but
salamander.
it needs water to live.
Yeah, everything does.
So the ones that need less water to live, because there's less water, there's not a lake there anymore. The ones that need less water are going to survive and reproduce.
I know, but
and then those offspring also need less water.
They breathe through their skin like frogs, I think, but they do not.
Do they?
I don't know. I know some frogs do. Maybe all frogs.
Some frogs
do.
But
a salamander does not need water to breathe. It needs water to coat its skin so it doesn't dry out and die, like many reptiles.
But the idea is eventually over time you would have a group of salamanders within a species that would need a lot less water than a regular salamander.
Well, then that
and eventually over time they wouldn't need any water at all.
That is actually an interesting concept.
Eventually the salamander would become essentially a lizard. And the lizard
would become a dry salamander.
A dry salamander, which is basically a lizard.
But
and the lizard would evolve into, say, a dinosaur.
Well, and now the dinosaur would devolve into a lizard as evolving.
Or a bird.
Well,
eventually, birds when they started, they'll be birds.
Well, here's what would happen next.
Leave, I'll tell you that much.
The lizard salamander species that we're talking about, let's say, okay, it used to live in the water, and it fed off of like fish and stuff. But now the water's all gone. It doesn't need water, but it needs food.
Why?
Right?
But that goes against natural thought. It would migrate.
It would either migrate or it would adapt to its environment.
Why would? But that's like kind of the welfare system. If it stays there, it's the dumb one of the species because it has less chance of survival.
It's gonna die. It's going to die unless it either migrates or adapts.
Evolution.
Well, think of this: if you have a group of people. We'll think of like
keep in mind
people
evolution.
That live in
people
Arabia.
Say after 100 generations it will change. The first one always dies. How is there another generation after that?
There's always someone.
Drown a baby.
There's always something that survives.
Try a fish.
I've done this in a biology class where we've taken.
You've seen evolution happen in front of your eyes.
Right in front of my eyes, over a span of 2 days. I can take a bacteria that are on a petri dish. And I can.
But
bacteria are kind of like the amphibians of the.
But that's like a completely different.
What do you mean?
Bacteria can grow into almost goddamn anything because it's stem cells of.
What we did in biology
class,
my AP biology classes, we took a antibiotic.
What kind of biology?
AP biology in high school. I
just like that you said AP.
Okay. Well, anyways, we took a species of bacteria, specifically E. coli.
Okay.
And we hit it with some antibiotics.
Okay.
But somewhere in there we threw in just to speed up the process, you know.
Yeah.
We threw in a plastid, and what a plastid is it's the bacteria form of DNA, but it's not actually DNA, it's actually RNA, and it's what bacteria use to mutate and grow in different proteins and carbohydrates. or different structures within the cell.
See,
So-
and that's the thing, though. Like, I can't argue with the bacteria to species argument, but I do not see any possible logic in the species to different species argument. Once you're out of the bacterial stages or the multi-cell early stages, it's been so long since I've even seen a book. Don't ask me for the names. But
Well, anyways, we took the bacteria. Some of them died. One, or maybe two, maybe three, survived because what they had was they had a gene that protected them from that specific antibiotic that we hit them with.
I get
That bacteria reproduced and filled the petri dish.
But does that count as of what species of bacteria?
E. coli. Same
No
species.
evolution, just evolution
It did
within the
evolve.
structure
It
of
mutated. It mutated into
mutated.
a strain of E. coli
that it
that
was resistant
to
to
the antibiotic.
antibiotics. But that's not.
Now, eventually, over time, if we keep hitting it with antibiotics, okay, well,
But that's
problem
not the
with species-
creationism evolution argument type evolution.
You're right. I know what
that
you're
is
talking about.
exposure evolution.
You're talking
That's
about,
learning to adapt within the
animals,
same
right?
species. I'm saying nothing can mutate entirely from like a fish to a land walker. I mean, there's fish that flap around on the land, but they still are fish. They're not land walking animals.
The idea
fish or
behind
whatever, so-
evolution is
not
that
animals.
everything can be traced to an origin species.
Yeah.
Now, when
But
I
I
say
just don't think
species,
It
I
goes
don't
past
mean
bacteria.
species. I mean a
Species.
single origin life form was what I mean. Okay, I don't mean
Mhm.
species. Sorry, life form. Now, when we're talking specifically about species, we're talking about sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction is when two animals that can mate and create offspring. Now, they have to be able to mate, otherwise
Last I
it's
checked.
not sexual reproduction. It's what is it called?
It's called a sin.
No, it's not. It's asexual reproduction. That's what it's called. Now,
Well,
asexual
reproduction, doesn't that involve just the one entity dividing?
Yeah, or it can, or it could be like a worm, like an earthworm,
Being
has
divided
a penis and a
into-
vagina.
Oh, okay.
Kinda, in a
Okay,
sense.
I
It has
get what
different
you're saying
sex
now.
organs. We call them different things, but basically it's a penis and a vagina on one end, and they touch each other, and then it lays eggs, and then more worms come out, basically. And
See, I thought
it's
asexual
not as
was only
efficient.
with division. I didn't even realize that would also be called asexual, but that makes
Mhm.
perfect sense.
Now, evolution with asexual reproduction is actually not as efficient because when you have two completely different people, people, two different animals,
Yeah, whatever. I got
but
it.
they can reproduce, the offspring are different.
Yeah.
And when the
They have a
offspring
chance for
grow,
evolution. Or
they automatically adapt to their
skills
environment. Yeah.
and-
So let's think of this. You have a bunch of
Better
people
genes.
that live in Syria. Now, if you live in Syria,
let's
you're
see.
probably Syria, the country.
Never heard of it.
Syria.
He's being a
It's-
dick.
Okay, so
I'm not
Syria,
being-
there's a
that's
lot
what
of terrorists in Syria. Everyone's getting shot,
What's a
killed, blown up.
terrorist?
What's a
Oh, you mean the U.S. troops?
No, I mean like ISIS and Al Qaeda and Taliban.
I said U.S. troops. But
US
still, go
troops.
ahead.
Well, the FSA, the Free Syrian Army,
Yeah,
so
I
called.
know, I know. Scratch that from the records. Continue with what you're saying.
Anyways,
You
we
take
have.
Syria, put it on a petri dish.
Okay, yeah, we'll call Syria a petri dish.
Beautiful.
There's a bunch of
Love
people
it.
there, and now there's a bunch of terrorists. Now the terrorists are gonna go kill a bunch of people. Who's gonna survive?
So are the terrorists the antibacterial?
Okay, yeah.
In this
In
situation,
this
so they're
situation,
good
the
guys.
terrorists are the antibiotic,
Yeah.
and the people are the bacteria. Now, who is going to survive the antibiotic terrorists that come
The
into
strongest of the
Syria? Either
bacteria.
the strongest that can survive,
Or mutated to
the-
adapt to that attack of antibacterial.
either they have to be strong enough to withstand the antibiotic, the terrorists,
Yes.
or they have to migrate, they have to leave.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of refugees coming out of Syria. Those
they
are the
are
ones that
mutated?
migrate. The ones that stayed are the ones who have adapted to their environment. And that is a very microscopic form of evolution right before your eyes.
What's funny is that is so funny to compare a petri dish to
It's
something
the exact
unbelievable,
same
like a
process.
Yeah.
current scale. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's just funny to see how everything is literally just the same thing, bigger and bigger and bigger, all through eternity. Like it's
Mhm.
everything is
It
literally
really
just
is.
So we got
the same
dinosaurs
molecule
walking
over
the
same
earth,
Thing.
and a meteor hits. What
That
happens?
Never happened. There were never.
Okay, well,
Meteors have hit us, I think. I don't know.
well, whatever it
Or-
was,
Space bombs.
whether it was a meteor, volcano, or just massive climate change, the dinosaurs were not able to survive in their environment. And when they migrated, they weren't able to adapt to that new environment, so they died off. Who survived? The mammals who lived underground were able to survive because they could avoid the environment entirely.
No, the sea animals more than anything.
The
But
sea
by
animals,
underground,
yeah.
That's what you meant, I know. Submerged animals.
Submerged
from the
animals,
surface.
they adapted into something
But
really weird shit, man.
What's tricky
we
about
got-
that is if you're to believe the asteroid thing,
Mhm.
and it was so big that literally the oxygen on the planet like burned up for the most part.
That's not what most people believe.
I know, but I've heard it, and it's like
That's crazy talk.
I know, but that's probably '90s talk, to be honest. That's
Yeah,
probably what I
honestly.
was told a few times 30 years ago. But
What happened
I
was
have
do you
heard-
believe dinosaurs
a meteor did
existed?
hit.
no, I personally I don't think every period of dinosaur occurred. I believe that
in the manner.
yeah,
that
like I
is
mean,
taught.
I
We
can't
can carbon
remember
date.
the Jurassic versus the Mesozoic versus the Triassic versus whatever the all days. I used to know them,
Mhm.
but I don't even know if dinosaurs
Triassic,
are a
Jurassic,
legit
Cretaceous.
story anymore. Because
We
Wait,
know
are
that a
there
meteor
only
hit
three?
about 65
I
million
think
years
it's a
ago.
reptilian conspiracy. You laugh at me, fuck you.
Yeah.